So shall we start the session? Yeah. Hi, good afternoon. This is Abhirami Vivek from India, welcoming you for WEF Bangalore 2020 Digital Summit. And we have two wonderful speakers. Ms. Tricia Malvani, President Women with Disabilities Australia, and she's also an entrepreneur. And we have Aparna Vishwesharao, HR leader. You're going to talk on promoting diverse female role models. So you'll be given a 12 minutes time. At 10 minutes, you will hear a bell sound, and then 2 more minutes will be given. So now you can start. Ms. Tricia, you can start on your session.
Thank you very much, and thank you for allowing me to speak here today. Women with disabilities are largely the invisible cohort amongst women. We are often not seen, and people don't recognise us as leaders. It was brought home very clearly to me this week when we lost one of our biggest role models in Australia in the disability movement, or what we call the disability sisterhood. One of our senior role models was killed in a motorcycle accident. She was a wheelchair user who also rode a motorcycle. She had a three-wheeler that she used to ride her motorcycle into. Since her death, we have been inundated from people across all sectors, especially in the women's sector and the disability sectors, who have told us how much she meant to them because of her way of leading and bringing other people along with her. I'll talk a little bit about the situation for women with disabilities more generally. Women with disabilities are less likely to be employed, they're less likely to have an education, and they're more likely to be isolated because we're seen to be a burden on society. Yet given half a chance, we can really shine. Most of the role models in the disability sector are women because we lead by example. We bring everybody else along with us. And I count myself as one of those leaders, and it was brought home to me this week as well when a training session I was running for entrepreneurs with disabilities who want to improve their businesses. One of the cohorts said to me, you know, we look on you as an elder. And I thought that was a really great compliment to me. In that cohort, we have 15 people. 12 of them are women. Women want to be involved in the economic prosperity of our countries, but we're not there. I don't know if people have heard of the Disability Leadership Institute, which was started in Canberra 4 years ago by a woman who said, you know, there's nowhere for us. There's nowhere for us to share our stories. There's nowhere for us to be able to just relax and be ourselves. And so she started that from nothing. It's now in over 20 countries, including India. I have friends in India, so I have a friend in Chennai who I would count as a female role model. Her name is Sai Padma, and she runs a school for poor children. She's like me. She's on calipers, she's on crutches, she had polio. So here's a woman who, despite the odds, is running this successful school, not for herself, but for poor people to be able to get an education. And she's been doing that for some time, and she's successful at it. And her students have graduated and gone on to university with her support. So this is what the female leaders are in my community. They're not people who are there for their own personal gain. They're there because they see a need and they meet it. Another woman I could mention is Melissa Noonan, who started a business for amputees after she fell under a train and lost her leg. So she could have easily said, oh, that's my life over. that what she did was, it's actually not easy to get information about how to cope after you've had an accident. So she's now started an organisation that's providing support to people who are amputees. It's what women do. In my own life, I've always had a disability. I contracted polio at the age of 4 months. And so this is no different for me. And I've always been in mainstream education and mainstream employment, so I've never had to worry about anything. So I didn't think I had anything to offer. And I was taken by the hand by a senior role model in Victoria, in my home state, who was heading up Women's Health Victoria. And what she did was she took me by the hand and she introduced me to the women that I needed to talk to be able to promote the health and well-being of women with disabilities. And with her help, I managed to turn around an organisation to become Women with Disabilities Victoria into a corporate model, which has now got ongoing funding, which is providing support and advice to government. In my own practice, I work in the health sector, so providing advice to hospitals about what they should do to be more inclusive of people with disabilities, in particular women. But I also work in the family violence sector, so I provide advice to the family violence sector about how best to ensure that women with disabilities are able to leave violence. And we know that women with disabilities experience violence at much higher rates than anybody else, and in many more forms. So they're under-medicated, over-medicated, kept locked up, killed at higher rates than anybody else. But nobody really notices, because if a woman with a disability dies young, everybody says, well, that's a shame. We have a problem with the women's sector as well in accepting us as equal partners. So we're treated as burdens on society. And if you listen to what the women's sector says, they say it's really hard for us because as women, we have the majority of care responsibilities. So what we should be doing is firstly ensuring that men take their share of care and responsibilities as well, but also ensuring that we are enabling women with disabilities to be independent. And I think that's one of the biggest problems we have, is that we're seen to be silent. We're seen to be, oh, don't make trouble, don't get in the way, be careful. One of the things that we also need to understand is that there are many, many forms of leadership. And what one leadership role that suits one person may not suit the next person. Many women with disabilities come up to me after I've spoken and say, I wish I could be like you. And I always say, no, the worst thing you want to do is be like me. You actually have to be like yourself. You have to find your own voice. So I'm not very diplomatic. I try to be, but I can speak to politicians as equal. I don't consider myself to be lesser. I've always worked in positions where I challenged the mainstream. So I worked in our police service for a long time, training police about sexual harassment and discrimination. They don't scare me. I taught them, so I know them. Politicians to me are there to serve me. I'm not there to serve them. I always say to them, what's the worst thing you could do is take away my disability, because then I'd lose my career. But so, you use humour. That's my way. I have other colleagues who will tie themselves to the front of the bus to protest about the lack of transport access. I don't do that. It's not my thing. I have others who will write letters, and that's great too. What we need to understand for women is that each of us has our own style, and there is no style that is right. One woman who was a very strong leader here, her name was Leslie Hall, and we now have our National Disability Award is named after her, and that's for leadership. And she used to ring me up and tell me I was wrong. Whatever it was, she'd only ring me when I was wrong, but whenever she rang me, she was right. So there's always this discourse, this ability for women to connect on a level that enables them to discuss the issues. I would never, ever think that I had the only answer. some years ago, a fellow said to me, the last person that I spoke to didn't say what you're saying. And I said, well, you're assuming for a start that all people with a disability share the same views. We don't. And I said, the last person you spoke to was a man. He has a completely different view to me to what the issues around disability. He didn't take into account gender. He didn't take into account intersectionality. So the position for me as a mainstream woman who has housing security, who has a steady income, will be quite different for a woman who lives in a rural community with little access to employment and with little access to job opportunities, to education, to a Wi-Fi system that works for her. So as far as I'm concerned, the role models for women must include all women. It must include all of those who are seen to be marginalised. Some of my role models have been women with cognitive impairment. So they may have an intellectual disability, but they actually contribute greatly to my practice and how I can make sure that all women with disabilities, in fact, all women are included in the decisions that affect their life. Thank you.
Thank you so much for supporting a community with disability and empowering them. That was wonderful listening to you. Thank you so much, Mr. Sia. And I now call upon Mrs. Aparna Vishwasrao to enlighten us with your experience and your views on the topic. Thank you.
So thanks a lot, Abhirami, and thanks a lot, WEF, for giving me this opportunity. And I would like to just share a little bit about my background. So I had HR for a consumer goods company and working since the past 21 years in the corporate world. So obviously, I come from a perspective or from you can say from a world where there are not many women at the top, though there will be many women at at the entry level or at the middle level. And our aim has been since the past 10, 12 years, my aim at least, to ensure that we just don't get women in the organization, but ensure that they, sort of progress to senior levels as well. And I sort of pioneered it in my earlier company, Merck, that is Merck Sharp and Bloom, which is an American company. So when you come to the subject of role model, someone said that a role model is someone from whom you can get sort of inspired on a day-to-day basis, who can teach you a few things. So it's someone who's like a one-on-one teacher whom you meet every day, with whom you interact. So society has a lot of role models or sort of inspirational leaders for us women, whether it is Sunita Williams, Kiran Bedi, and what have you. While I respect them and I think that they are quite inspirational, I really go by the quote what I mentioned just now, that role models are someone whom you see on a day-to-day basis and you can learn. And this I learned way back, I think about 10, 12 years back. And I actually went and sort of, met my role models, told them these are a few things that I would like to learn from you. And then they sort of became my mentors. So in the next 8 or 9 minutes, I would like to just share first a background of why women need role models, and then a little bit about my personal experiences. So when you talk of the role models, I really think they are like the Sherpas who guide you when you're climbing, the Mount Everest of your life. And when it comes to women, there is, we all know that confidence, networking skills, these are the two main things that women could do with if they have to climb, the higher rungs of the corporate world, or I think any field. There are a lot of studies that have been done. And at the same time, in those studies, women have also said that if they had role models, or if they have role models, teach them those things. By example, that would really help them sort of accelerate their progress. And also, one more thing I would like to share in the same breath, that these kind of inputs are given earlier in life, like right from the 20s when you begin your career, whichever sector it is, whether it's a social sector, whether it's the for-profit sector. I think it would really help them. But even when you are in your 30s and in your 40s, I think role models would really play an important role in both instilling that confidence, determination, in you to rise to, roles that you like, and also create those networks that will help you succeed in life. Another important point that I would like to mention here is right from a young age, a lot of studies have shown that women are taught to be nice and not lead. It's a role model who can teach us how to be both nice and to lead. That has been my personal experience as well. So I think role models really play an important role when it comes to our personal and professional journeys as women professionals. I would like to now just take a moment and pause and maybe share about my two role models. And my role models are both for my personal life and my professional life. I mean, this topic actually really made me very excited. The topic of role models, because I have a blog, and sometime back I had written about 9 women who inspire me, whom I consider as role models, and they are both from my personal and professional life. So two role models that I would like to specifically mention here is Apurva Purohit, who is the only woman leading a media conglomerate in India. She is my mentor. I really consider her as a role model, and I would like to mention here the reasons. She's both humane and a very visionary business woman leader. Got several awards, uh, best woman in business, both by Business World, Business Today, Forbes. I think every year she gets it year on year. Um, Two books that she has written, Lady You're Not a Man and Lady You're the Boss, which serve as inspiration to thousands and thousands of women. And I think she's retained a humility, throughout her professional journey, and serves as a mentor to many women. So that's the reason why I consider her as my role model. And she's given me practical advice both in my personal life and professional life that has really helped me, overcome challenges and succeed. The second role model, very much as they say, inspiration begins at home, is my great grandmother, Manjula Bai Chaudhary, who was in the education field and who co-founded the Seva Sadhan, which was the first school for girls, dedicated only to girls in Pune in 1910, when even educating women was considered to be a social taboo. Some of you may be aware of it. So she co-founded that school, and then she pursued a flourishing career in the field of education till she breathed her last. And she was an MA in Sanskrit, MA in English, and MA in Maths. So she serves as an inspiration to all of us, and especially to me in the family. She did break a lot of social norms when she did that, but at the same time, she took the society and the family along with her. That is one more thing that really, is very endearing and serves as inspiration to me. And why did I say break social norms? Because as I mentioned, some of you may aware, some of you may not be aware. The process of education itself was considered as a social taboo for women, especially if you are from, an so-called aristocratic family or something like that in Pune and in Maharashtra also till the 1930s, by the way. And there were these kind of women, iconoclastic women, who sort of broke those shackles and set examples. And that's the reason why we are sort of able to educate ourselves today and lead this kind uh, of a life. So that's my second role model. Uh, and then there are a host of others. As I started the women's resource group in our company a couple of years back, almost a decade back, and we enabled the process of development. I, in the process, became a mentor to so many women. And let me share with you, as I have role models who inspire me, who teach me, I also feel it is my duty now to pay forward. So in the past 10 years or so, life has given me an opportunity to, pay forward and sort of ensure that we also develop women leaders, not just in our company, but even outside of it, through various formal forums, through various informal forums. So I think it's a two-way process. Also, in the same breath, I would like to say that while someone may serve as your role model, it has been my observation that you may also end up doing reverse mentoring. While you may learn from your role model also may learn from you. That is one more, practical insight that I have gained over a period of time. And as I conclude, I would like to share that I really think that I wish I had reached out to my role models much earlier in life, that would have really facilitated, my progress. And by progress, I just don't mean, a better, how should I say, like a better role or a better salary. No, it is not that. It is your holistic progress, you know. And when we say progress, it is all four aspects, right? Whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And when I reach out to my role models and I, sort of pose my challenges and questions to them about a decade or 11 years back almost, I think my life journey has been far more easier. So if people are hearing this, younger girls especially, I would really earnestly plead that, reach out to your own, identify first the right role models and reach out to them early on in life. I really think that will, help you a lot. So, so with this, I sort of end my speech, and thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being on time, right on time,
Yeah.
10 minutes on dot. And
Yeah.
that's been a wonderful, powerful sharing from Aparna. And I thank you once again, Ms. Tricia and Aparna, for having been a part of this wonderful first of its kind WEF Digital Summit Bangalore 2020. And in this wonderful moment, I take the opportunity of, acknowledging your contribution to the community and conferring you with an award, Iconic Woman Creating a Better World for All. You'll be receiving your soft copy shortly through email. Yeah, thank you so much for the very insightful and wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you, Tricia. Thank you, Abhirami.
Thank you.
So we
Thank
can
you.
hear the other sessions, right?
Yeah, you
Abhirami,
can.
we can.
Yes,
We
you
can.
can. You
Okay,
can.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have
Thank
a
you.
nice rest of the day, and bye, Tricia. Good night.
Bye,
Yeah.
Tricia. Bye, bye.
When I come to
Yeah.
India.
Thank you. Thank you. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye. Bye.